Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm saying everybody, but StreamYard has not updated yet. So, as far as I know, nobody is here. But we are here. Oh, now it's updated and it's saying nobody is here. So, if you are here,
Good.
the StreamYard is lying, and I appreciate you. But we're here to talk about Caliban's War, the second book in the Expanse series as part of the Expanse Along. One of our co-hosts, the lovely Mina Reeds, is having, some personal matters that she has to take care of, so she is not here. But we do have Erin from Booked and Busy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, people. My name is Erin from Booked and Busy. I am booked and very busy. So I'm happy I was able to carve out some time to be here today.
I hate you. I hate you. Just to refresh everyone's mind of Caliban's War, we are following Holden again as he gets into more fuck shit. We got
Wait, 1 minute in and this how you acting.
yes, he gets into some fuck shit. Hello, MJ. Happy that you could make it. He's getting into some fuck shit. It's been a little bit of time since the events of Leviathan. Stuff is happening. Venus is looking a little different.
He's been a space pirate.
Yeah, he's been pirating it up. We have a couple new perspectives. We follow a mission, wow, a Martian soldier, Bobby, love her. Avasalara down there on Earth, doing Terran things. Prax, the little son, I felt like he got shortchanged a little bit. I grew to want more of him, but I didn't want him to be with Holden because like them being in the same space was a little unnecessary.
It was a blind leading the blind, is what that was.
So it's a little bit more political intrigue with Avasalara, but even then it didn't really serve.
I'm gonna tell you, Caliban's War did not give what the girl said it was supposed to give. Okay.
Oh, so you watched reviews? People talk to you about it? Because I went in completely. I didn't know what I was supposed to get from it.
I mean, well, when I say that, it's like, okay, The Expanse is a very highly regarded sci-fi series. Wouldn't have made it to 9 books if it wasn't. And
Right.
it's just so good, and it just gets better. That's the general consensus, that the series gets better as it goes along, whatever. And like honestly, for me, this is a step down from Leviathan Wakes.
Yes.
Because one thing about Leviathan Wakes had that action. And you got invested very early on, or at least you were intrigued. And I guess for me, my biggest critique of Caliban's War, A, was that it was boring.
Correct.
B, it was that we as a reader, I don't feel like we were convinced or invested in like the stakes of the story. Because I don't understand why they were helping Prax. Like they had no motor, like no connection to them. The reason, like, in the mystery in this one was not nearly as compelling as the mystery in the first book. Because it seems to be like a, not episodic, but like a mystery of a book type of situation. The first book mystery was Julie. But the thing is, one person in the story was following Julie, and then the other person was trying to avenge what had happened, and the stakes are pretty high. There were no stakes for like the first 400 pages, really? Like, they had no reason to be on Ganymede. They had no reason to be helping Prax.
I mean, they got sent there, didn't they? Like, what's his name? Johnson, Mr. Freddy.
Fred sent them to drop the groceries off and go. He ain't say go on there and start shooting it up, go in there and get involved with some stuff. He ain't say away a ship that I just told you to bring home. He ain't say none of that.
I would agree that there aren't. This book was, for me, I also gave it 2 stars. We can start there. So for me, it was like on the same level as my reread of Leviathan. But I do think that like Leviathan could be like a 2.2, a 2 point,
But your first read of Leviathan was 4 stars. I think it's important to make that comparison. Like, if nothing else, we enjoyed the action and the pacing. Because we always said that whenever we stopped at the 60-page mark for our buddy read, it was like, oh, it was right when something else was happening. Wasn't nothing happening in this book?
Yeah, I have to say, so in the it's like the author. It might have been like an author interview that was in the back of Leviathan. They talk about how they were contracted to write 3 books. So they had Leviathan, this book, and the third book had like a different name at the time. And after reading this, I don't understand why Orbit asked for more. I think that if this had just been a trilogy, it would have been perfectly fine for me, because I don't think that the overarching, I think what's supposed to bind all the books together is Holden, because there are different perspectives in Abaddon's Gate apparently, and then the proto-molecule. And I don't think that Holden is strong enough connective tissue, and the proto-molecule, I don't think they know what they want the proto-molecule to do, and I don't think that whatever they decide is going to make sense. Not
seasoned mashed potato.
Yeah, this one was, it was bad. Like, it was just bad.
The pacing, it's so many things. The pacing was off. The mystery element was not good. And I think like Miller's relationship to Julie was weird, but it kept me reading. I was interested. But also Miller had 2 storylines. So Miller, that's how we get Julie. Miller's storyline was Julie, but also the mystery of what was going on what was it, on Ceres? And like what was going on with the game, him investigating his personal life, all that. So he was a more well-rounded character to deliver that part of the mystery, which connects to the rest of the story, than Prax. Prax was a wet blanket.
Yeah, Prax was a very odd man. From the moment we met him to even when before he joined up with them, like when he was still on Ganymede and he was trying to look for May, and he was like not eating and he was starving himself. I was like, sir, if you die, then even if your daughter isn't dead, you would never know. So like maybe that's supposed to be him grieving, working through like trauma.
I mean, even if you go back to the scene where the mirrors fell, he was not worrying about his daughter. He was like, "Oh, my plans."
Well, he didn't know that. Did he know that May was missing then? Because I think at the
he was missing. But if I'm somewhere and it's a terrorist attack going on, or the building start crumbling around me, I'm be like, "Damn, my child." Let's go see about my child, not about space soybeans.
I guess at that point, maybe if you're like a parent and you know where your child is and you know that they're in a safe location, it's one thing. But then like when he couldn't get there and then when he finally did get there and they're like, oh, she's not here. I think for me, that made sense. I was okay with that. But I was also like, sir, if you don't eat, like you will never see her.
But even if it was about the daughter, the lady was like, if you stay in here, you're going to die. I'm leaving. So you can stay here if you want, but I'm leaving. And he was still like not trying to leave the plants.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's a very interesting character. I don't know if he made a lot of sense, but I think just because he was the only person trying to explain to me what the proto-molecule was doing, that I was like, I need you here, because no one else in the story is going to explain it. And even though his explanation made no sense to me, I was like, but you need to say, because I need to understand. Because clearly this proto-molecule is supposed to be like the unifying force of the series. And it's not unifying for me.
I feel like Prax was too dumb to be as smart as he was supposed to be. Because Exhibit A, when he was putting out inquiries, I guess, feelers for like the little private security people to come and try and save me. Why do you think he was on these people's ship? Why do you think they were out here shooting it up at the secret ports, all this to find your daughter, if they weren't going to try and find your daughter? Why do you think they brought you with you? They didn't want to find your daughter.
I think that a lot of it just because like everyone on Ganymede was supposed to be smart, so like being smart didn't mean anything on Ganymede.
Well, compared to Holden, he is Einstein. So like what? What you mean?
Okay, but Holden only has like one idea ever. Any problem?
Transmission.
Any problem?
Mass transmission.
Any problem Holden faces, he's like, we need to get the whole galaxy involved, because if the whole galaxy is thinking about it, we will find a solution.
Holden was born in the social media age. He wanted to be a YouTuber, but instead he went to the Navy.
I think he is really the Gretchen Wieners of the Expanse. Like, he wants to make these things happen, but there's just someone always above him.
He don't even have good. He don't have good sense. Like his logic, I'm like, I don't know how they keep voting him the captain because it don't make sense.
He is a one. He has one song, and he continues to play the one song, and he expects to get tips every time. And it's like, okay, but we know you can do this. Like, I need.
Have you read House on the Cerulean Sea? This is unrelated but related.
I have not.
If you read House on the Cerulean Sea, he's just like Chauncey. And how like Chauncey's like, all right, you're gonna give me a button, you're gonna give me a tip. Take your clothes out, and I unfolded them so that I can refold them. Give me some money.
Yeah, I don't understand why Holden was in charge of anything. I think that even he didn't understand why he was in charge of things. Because when they finally did sit down to like have the vote, he was like, well, when things first popped off, it kind of made sense. But now, like, it's like the blind leading the blind. So we should re-vote. They were still like, yeah, you got this. You can do it.
Like the funny thing about it is like it for Fred, it doesn't even, I mean, I guess he wants to use him, but it doesn't even make sense to have Holden out in the space streets because Holden is still wanted by Earth and Mars. So why are you gonna have him flying all around the galaxy? Like he's not the smartest, the brightest, the most, he's not like a space warrior. So even him being sent out on these missions all year, unless you just want to keep holding out his hair, don't make sense. Because remember, they were like, oh, he said, oh, you're finally bringing one in instead of shooting the past, 18 ships down. He still ain't bringing it in, gave it away. But so he wasn't even doing the job he was supposed to be doing very well. So I don't understand why he was out there to begin with.
I also didn't understand the scene where Fred fired him. And then he was like, I could argue that I own the ship. And I'm just like, this seems a little unnecessary because you
do own the ship.
But you're not
going to own him too.
But he's not going to take the ship away. Like, there was never a moment where I was like, yeah, Fred's going to take the ship from them. Like,
I didn't want him to go. He said, you served your purpose.
But what purpose did he serve?
Well, the OPA is a recognized government now. It was not in the beginning of Leviathan.
He does. He does. He ain't going nowhere, but he needs to.
He got a plot. It's a Iron Man plot suit.
I will also say that I don't think any of the crew with him was necessary in this book. Like, I didn't like any of them. Because Holden and Naomi's romance was still foolishness. Still just fuckery. Amos was like being...
Why do you say it like that?
How would you prefer to say it?
Amos.
There's no...
Famous Amos.
There's no...
Sure, famous.
There's no you.
It's not anyway. Amos. Like, who in their right mind is Amos? Like, what is wrong?
That man with his little pedophile test, that was foolishness. And I said he needs to go. The only crew member that I actually liked was Alex, because Alex was always in like the faraway reaches. He was always the person they left behind to like hold down the ship while they went and did actual fuckery. So Alex gets a pass, but everyone else on board, I'm like, why are y'all here? Like, I need one of y'all to die.
When Alex said we don't get paychecks, I said, oh, that's it. They don't even. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't care how much I love y'all and my friends. I want a check.
Yeah, well, Holden said that there's a bank account and it's all of them.
You think I'm gonna let another grown man hold my money for me?
He said it's all of our money in this bank account. And I said, that doesn't make sense. Make it make sense.
How y'all agree to that? You don't have to look, what they call them, chips, clicks, credits, whatever?
Apparently not. Apparently not. I also think that I did not need Avasarala and Bobby's perspectives. And if I was going to cut one, I would have cut Bobby's.
Avasarala don't make sense because at the beginning of the book, like in our introduction to Avasarala, it's established that Avasarala is that girl. She is that girl. She is so smart. All the people underestimate her, kind of, but they also know that she's not being played with, whatever. And she talks about how she's gone through so many assistants and how she don't really like Soren. She don't really trust nobody. And for Soren to so easily pulled the wool over her eyes that even Bobby's dumbass could see through it. I'm like, how could you not, Miss Avasarala? And it's like, it was implied in the beginning that Soren had not been her assistant for very long. But then when the things come out that he had been working with the, the undersecretary, the general, whatever, she was like, I don't know how many, implied, years. I don't know how many different people have died because I don't know how many transmissions or whatever have been changed because of him. I'm like, how long has he been around? Because you implied that you got a revolving door of assistance.
Yeah, I did not need both of them, and I would have left Bobby alone. I will say though, I did not actually like Avasarala that much. It was just that they were serving the same purpose for the narrative. And then when everyone came on board the ship and it's like 5 different perspectives on the same place, that's when I was like, it was no longer a complicated storyline. It was just a convoluted storyline because it wasn't even that like the added perspectives was gaining insight to a situation. It was just like, okay, but this whole situation just doesn't make sense. Like, how did we get here? Why are we here? How do we leave from here? I just didn't think that James S.A. Corey is a talent. Neither of them. There's 2 people. Y'all got at least 2 brain cells. And the math was all over the place.
Same. So with Avasarala, it's like she's so smart, she's so this, she was able to do all this Nguyen's flight or whatever, and then they got put back together and she don't know. She don't know anything. She got outmaneuvered on this ship. She got put in this space. I'm like, how is it that you're this or allegedly, but you don't know anything? You're not aware. You ain't got no. I'm like, Narampa, you don't got no spies. You don't got no secrets. You don't have any allies. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, she was, especially when they were on board the private spaceship, like heading out to I don't even know what they were supposed to do before they rerouted.
They were going to Jupiter. Well, Ganymede, Jupiter.
Like, they got on the private ship. Homegirl knew it was a trap. She didn't do anything. She said, my plan is to, when they finally expose it as a trap, we're just going to take over the vessel. And I said, they're already committing a crime. So when she walked up to the captain and said, I'm reporting you for committing a crime. By the laws and standards, I'm reporting. I said, this man clearly don't care about the laws and standards. But he was like, here's the keys. It was just foolishness from beginning to end with that storyline.
The man was like, when they little scared, he said, they don't even have to work hard to kill you. They can just turn the air off. Like, it doesn't even require anything. Check out, Mr. Mao got off that damn ship so quick. He said, oh, we just having dinner, baby. I'm out of here. Whole hundreds of proto-molecule monsters did not make no fucking sense. How?
Yeah, so let's get into the proto-molecule. So apparently in this book, we discover that the proto-molecule has a hive mind that has been... What? Oh, Holden is weird. That sounds like, yeah. So the proto-molecule has a hive mind.
I mean, you probably do get a lizard brain when you splice 8 human DNAs together. That's probably why Holden ain't got no damn sense.
So that's a hive mind that apparently has been in existence since it split off, because I guess the sample that they gave Homeboy was part of the hive mind and it stayed intact after the crash onto Venus. And so anytime something was happening to one of the hive mind, I do think that not enough was made of. Some of those monsters were apparently those kidnapped children. So like, we were kind of...
They also said they rescued all the children.
They didn't rescue all of them, because one of them was definitely dead, because they saw him. They're like, that's, what's his name?
But I'm saying, like, when they got there, they were like, oh, we got all the children. They were left.
I think that we're left, because I think because there was the first round of testing that happened, and I guess they were going to do the second round of testing with May, and then the Dr. Strickland man who had like the other identity was like, well, I saved her because I knew you were looking, so I figured I would have a bargaining chip.
I mean...
And I said, sir, you're the smartest character in the book.
He ain't wrong.
He wasn't.
But also, how the hell y'all got top flight security?
Yeah, see, there were half. So half of them became monsters that they were actively killing and fighting And
what are you supposed to do?
I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but
Leave the monster children alive?
I think that there's an interesting commentary that could be made about like we were just literally fight. They were toddlers, like they weren't even
monster toddlers.
I just think it's an interesting commentary that I think that the bookish sci-fi community should reckon with. That they were
that's you.
That we were hyping up the murder of hive-minded children. While this random planet is terraformed by this alien molecule. I think that that's a lot to unpack, and I don't think it's possible.
You know what, honestly? I know MJ's here and MJ's ready. I think that Mr. Christopher Paolini read I think he read Caliban. I see what you're trying to do with the proto-molecule. Hold my beer, baby. And he made them all. He made them all, and he said, I'm going to give you what the girls ain't gave. I'm going to give you some plot. I'm going to actually give you the science. I'm going to show you how it makes sense. I'm going to give you the actual hive mind, okay? We're going to make it make sense. We're going to give them all a perspective. This is, like, it's the same thing. And we said that with Leviathan. Like, Leviathan is like the poor man's to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad because it came out a decade ago.
And how long Christopher Paolini said he'd been working on that book? How long? Tell me how long he said.
Years,
series. Tell me what he said.
Not the a decade.
Exactly. He said, I think it's a little better.
Yeah, so I really want to like the proto-molecule plot line, even if we don't unpack the children becoming monsters. But it wasn't adding up from how they were saying that they needed to like burn them and they were able to kill the stowaway. But when you crashed the entire, like maybe just because the entire station of Eros had like become enveloped, it like you could kill most of it, but you couldn't kill all of it. But you were still like, there was fire.
Honestly, there's no proof that it was killed.
Well, I mean, not to spoil anything, but this is the book. Miller popped up at the end, and I said,
"What is spoiler since the first 2 minutes?"
And I said, "Now, how did he survive this?"
You know, Miller wasn't in his right mind to begin with, so let's first start there. But Miller and Julian probably became one person. It's really the ball for real. Hive mind between Miller's detective ability and his and then Julie and her richness. And all that combined with all the little bits and bobs people on Eros. Because Venus is like literally extremely hot. So if it was the heat that was going to do it, we wouldn't be having hexagons all across the planet deconstructing ships. Like we were a toddler trying to figure out how everything worked together. That doesn't make sense.
I also wasn't like the proto-molecule that was infecting the people. Like it looked like plants. And I was like, why would it look like a plant? Like, why is it plant? I mean, I guess it was like fungi in the first book. They had like leaves and stuff coming out of Julie's.
The proto-molecule was just exploring, I don't
understand like the plant, like, and then fire. Like it's not really serving what I think it's meant to serve.
When the one was fighting Julie and was like, "Why aren't you infected?" I was like, literally. Come on.
I want to appreciate the the proto-molecule just to me is not that girl, because I don't think that the people in the galaxy can fight the proto-molecule, because apparently crash landing it into the surface of Venus did nothing. Anytime something happens to it away from Venus finds out about it allegedly. And the proto-molecule already took down Ganymede. So that's one major food bank gone. And Mars and Earth are not about to share. So the Belter's really about to be going hungry. So why would I read
it? Prax, whatever the hell his name is.
I'm like, when Prax left, I said, you need to stay here. Why is Prax leaving? That was the big moment of foolishness. But I'm like, on what planet, on what universe does the humans come together and defeat the proto-molecule? Because I don't see it.
And the thing is, Venus was never even supposed to destroy the protomolecule. That was just like, they were just going to push it that way so it don't go to Earth. That's it. Because there are no people on Venus, well, really, for it to eat.
Well, Miller fucked that up.
And I'm like, honestly, how naive does Holden, which, okay, Fred, Avasarala, the whole damn Earth Mars government to believe that there was only one single sample of the protomolecule ever. That the people who made it and spent billions and billions of dollars over however long only had it in one place. Why in God's name would you actually think that?
That's another very good, that also makes a lot of sense. Like,
and Holden and all his stupid assery is like, you know what? Fred is the only person in the whole world that has a sample.
He was so convinced at like page 200 that, oh, this is all Fred's fault. Fred did this. And then I was like, but did he? Like,
where's the evidence? I'm like, I'm not seeing how you made this connection. This was all
none of the people on his crew that he was talking to thought it made sense, but that he still went in there and got fired over it. Like, everyone is telling you this is stupid, like you're wrong, but
his little speech while he went in there was like, I'll do what I have to do. I will take him out. Like, I'm like, you really think that y'all are equals? And Fred was sitting there like, are you being serious? I helped you out when nobody helped you. I put food on the table, gas in the tank, air in the ship, everything. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. I used my very expensive Mormon ship to crash your shit off into the deep. I did this and I did that. And you mean to tell me you're going to sit here in my face on my space station and accuse me and say what you about to do? He got off easy being fired.
But didn't they solve, like, when the general who went out there and was like about to start the war, didn't they just like nuclear explosion his ship to get rid of the protomolecule that was on board?
Well, so like, not just that, because he had like the transponders, and so they were trying to figure out where all the other things went.
I said, like, it can't be this hard and this easy to get rid of them.
No, they just don't know what to do but shoot. Because I'm like, okay, here's the thing. If it's a filament and the filament is part of the hive mind, just a little part of it, it can reproduce, it can replicate itself, it can attach to something else and whatever. So like, as long as there are particles of it, like when they were in Ganymede and they were in that secret launch port, it was particles of part of molecule all over. All they got to do was link together and go to the
see, when they were in so many places where the protomolecule, like, particles, filaments, whatever, were just everywhere, that I kept finding myself wondering, like, how are y'all not infected yet? Especially at the end. Was it at the end? Might have been in the middle, when Bobby was in her little, like, super powered Martian suit, and she was literally covered in it. She said there was protomolecule sludge all over it. And then she came back to the spaceship, and they're like, oh yeah, just like wash it off. And I'm like, how are y'all not, like, y'all should be little plant monsters. What?
No, I mean, I was saying that when the thing was in the ship in the ship with them.
Or even then, yeah.
Y'all were in very close quarters for a month at a time to get the thing. You were in the same room with the protomolecule, blowing holes through with little particles. Amos out there trying to fix it, do this and do that. And you mean to tell me not one little bit of it got onto you?
Apparently. So again, like, I don't think that the protomolecule makes sense. I don't think that James S.A. Corey knows what to do with it. And there's two of them, which I think makes it even worse. Like, if you were just one author writing the story, it'd be like, okay, maybe you're like in over your head. But you have someone that you are constantly bouncing ideas off of. And the editor didn't come back and was like, this doesn't make sense, guys. Like,
I already established that editing is a field that anybody can do, honey.
Like, 3 people read this and said, yeah, it checks out. And then Orbit said it checks out so much that we're going to get
6 more books. What doesn't make sense to me is that I can't really tell you what The Expanse is trying to do. Because it's not a character-based story, because the characters aren't that good. They're not like, and it's also, could say Leviathan had a pretty linear plot that you could follow. Caliban did not. Like, so the characters are not characters that I love, that I'm attached to, that I'm invested in. None of them. For example, like, I keep talking about To Sleep, but To Sleep, I didn't love Kira. Kira is not my favorite character. But for example, I love Grigorovich. I absolutely adore Grigorovich. But what To Sleep had for me, it was a lot more plot focused, and the science was there. The science backed up the shit that was happening. I understood the faster than light travel. I understood how, before they could move the faster than light, they had to travel this amount of time, and they had to take breaks. It wasn't just full speed burn ahead. I understood how these things impacted their body. They added the cure on the Rocinante is just indestructible. Holden was crushed under a fucking big ass crate or whatever, and he literally was walking out the room.
I think, like I said, James Essick, in that same interview at the back of Leviathan, said that they wanted to write science fiction for the non-scientist. And I think that it shows. Like, they have written, this is very approachable. You don't have to be like, I'm not going to understand science, because they don't care about science. But I think that the more that you read, the more the plot needs you to care about science. And the fact that they continue to not care shows in the writing. And it's I don't understand how this is so popular.
Like, honestly, it don't take but a paragraph or two to indicate the passage of time. I was floored when they said something about it had been 4 months. I said, 4 months? I thought this was last week. I thought y'all was just moving like that. Because nowhere does he say, in the weeks following this, in the time preceding this, it took us this amount of time to get to Tycho Station. Child, a map of the galaxy would be helpful.
Yeah, I remember I said that on a Zoom. I would like, because I am not going to pretend like I understand like various, like where the planets are in like a line.
They talk about the moons of the planets, and I don't have those mapped out.
I don't know where most of the moons are. I certainly don't know how long it takes to get from one place to another. The only reason I assumed it was taking them forever was because in Leviathan Wakes, they were like, it takes us forever to get places, because they can't go faster than light. They can just go kind of fast, but it still takes them forever. So I wasn't surprised that the thing was taking forever. But then it was also like, so much time has passed, guys. Like, so much time.
The only amount of time that we saw passing, and it was done very poorly, was with Prax at the thing. But he made it seem like it just literally got significantly worse every day, and not that there were weeks going by where this was happening, when he was slowly becoming like emaciated and all this stuff. I'm like,
they're built differently.
How are the botanists growing the food and you about to starve?
Because the mirrors are down.
Mark Watney didn't starve.
Okay, well, Mark Watney.
He was alone.
Mark Watney was a soldier. He was.
He wasn't.
When I meant that metaphorically, he didn't want to die. Prax said, "Well, I don't have May, so I might as well die."
You ain't gonna get May if you dead. Don't nobody care about May but you. Her mama sent $80. Her mama sent $80 to rescue her. I said that was the most disrespectful, ass thing I've ever seen in my life. $80.
They did their GoFundMe stream. And then he felt bad at the end. He said, they sent me hundreds of thousands of whatever the currency is. And I said, you're mad? Like, you are mad that you are now a wealthy man. You are feeling guilty because you are a wealthy man. Okay.
Things like, I got money on Ganymede. I don't think that money means anything no more, baby.
It might, because he's going back.
The Ganymede bucks. Ain't nobody. Ganymede's economy is in the toilet.
See, I refuse to believe that Ganymede would have its own currency. I mean, maybe it would. I don't know. But again, like, none of these world-building things seem to matter. They don't matter.
Because I heard one way he said something about the UN currency. It wouldn't make sense for them to use UN currency because everybody in the galaxy goes there to just state.
I also didn't. I was like, so y'all grow food and you're like the world's, like, the galaxy's best hospital, like. And I felt like Jupiter is pretty far out there. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the moons.
The outer planet's best hospital. So if you went on the ground, then like on Earth, Mars, this is where you come to pop
But that's a
your baby
lot
out.
of space. Like,
I mean, only the rich and powerful could do that, obviously.
I'm sure there are, a lot of light years between like Saturn and Jupiter. So if you're on like a moon of Saturn and you want to go to Ganymede, like I'm sure that's still by the time you got there, you would have to like plan to get pregnant on Ganymede.
How we don't know if gestation is the same time frame. How far is Saturn from Ganymede? Let's see.
You would have to go to Ganymede knowing you want to get pregnant on Ganymede. You could not
Probably
arrive
book a
there.
reservation. Like
There's no way you could arrive there and be like, "Oh, I'm already pregnant," because I don't think they could really help you. Because there's no way it's going to be 9. It would take way more than 9 months. If it takes 2 years to get to Mars, then it's going to
Does
take.
it take that long? It can't take that long.
It takes a
The
long
Earth
time.
hella quick.
I mean, maybe not in this future, in the Expanse world. Maybe it only takes them like 6 months.
You know, they got better technology.
Yeah, it's very science light. It's very not serving when I first read Leviathan Wakes, I was like, this is the moment, like this is serving. But the more time I spend in the Expanse, I'm like, but is it serving something I want to actually ingest? Like, is it actually serving quality food? And so far, nothing has slapped. And when I was flipping through Abaddon's Gate and I was seeing completely different perspectives and I was only seeing Holden as a character I knew, my heart did sink a little. Because I said,
Yeah, my heart sunk a little.
It did. I mean, maybe Avasarala and Bobby are still on the Rocinante, and so it don't make sense to give them perspectives, but I would appreciate that,
The way I'm still trying to figure out how far they are from each other. Google did not have a straight answer for me. I hated that. Like, since when does Google not give straight answers?
Like I said, you would have to arrive. I'm sure you have to arrive on Ganymede trying to get pregnant. You go there because you want to get pregnant. You do not show up. It's not like a hospital. You don't arrive like, oh, I'm about to give birth, because you would have given birth on the spaceship.
No, because people they go there and they're pregnant on Ganymede, definitely, because he was like that's what they gestate, and that's the whole cooking process.
They might arrive unpregnant and they get pregnant on Ganymede and
because they were like the atmosphere and whatever. Because they said the Belters are born with defects and they just off them. Or they're like defected in vitro.
Yes, I remember.
It was given ableist.
But then
given eugenics.
But it was serving eugenics. But then there were 12 children on Ganymede who had no immune system. So which one?
They didn't have defects, so they didn't have any outward problems, so they could work on that.
I think that not having an immune, if you're at the point where you're cherry picking like 3 out of every 10 embryos on the Ganymede little, however they do that, you can at some point detect this person's not going to have an immune system.
I feel like space is definitely the wrong place not to have.
I also don't know what it would mean to like not have an immune system on a place like Ganymede that is so, because at that point you are living in a hospital. Like, I don't know how there are certain, you can't just get rid of every disease. But at that point, I would imagine it's not like.
James S.A. Carr said autoimmune diseases are the future. Still, can't escape them.
I just know that there was a crew of children that did not have an immune system. So it was ableist, but not full.
I feel like, honestly, you don't even need to make the children to be sick. I feel like you could have just made the argument that because children, their brains or whatever aren't fully developed, they don't have the capacity to fight off the protomolecule the way a human would, because their bodies are still growing and developing. So the protomolecule could grow and develop their body itself. Like, I could even follow that logic.
But I don't know if I could follow that logic, because it's not like Julie fought off the protomolecule. Like, She
But
lost.
part of Julie is still sentient in a way. And she, like they said, like she would probably be influencing the proto molecule, like because all the little starship maneuvers, the proto molecule learned them from her. Whatever. I'm saying like kids will still be malleable because how it, like you said, if y'all are selectively, what's the word? I don't know, but y'all are able to select which embryo to produce. Why would you also select the ones that have diseases that literally cannot survive in this like uh this you know what I'm looking for the word that means we created this fucking atmosphere. Like, you wouldn't do that. Especially if you make a point to say that people who have in the Belgians they're born with defects, so people often off them. Like you made a point to say that, which would kind of negate what you've done right now.
Which I think was probably meant to like the proto molecule scientists were playing the long game, and so maybe they allowed these children with no immune system to be born, so they could eventually harvest them to feed.
Not harvest. Not harvest.
That's what they were doing. They were kidnapping the children, but like, okay, well, we specifically made it so our design would be really easy to just get up in there. But again, I think that had the proto molecule not learned from Julie, then it would have not survived as long as it did. And so I don't even know if like having a blank slate is all that important to the proto molecule. Like I
mean, when you building soldiers, not necessarily when you building your hive mind.
I guess, but even the soldiers that they did create, because the one that was in the stowaway, the one that was a stowaway, had to be one of the ones that was recent. And so that one still learned enough to kick out the firebomb so it couldn't get torched to death. It said, not today. I'm not going up in a ball of flames. And they said, oh, so that's how you kill it. And I said, that can't be. I need like a gas. I need some like complicated chemical equation, not fire on a spaceship. Like like that's the part that really set me like, so in this highly controlled, highly combustible space, their one defect was a flaming ball of fire.
People who have finished in the comments, what did you all rate it? And are you going to be continuing on in the series? Mr. Monty, are you going to be continuing on with Abaddon's Gate and the rest of the 6 books afterwards in the Expanse?
So I rated this one right here, Caliban's War, 2 stars. It was very consistent for me. I did not feel that it was an improvement.
If improvement even mattered.
No, it definitely didn't. Not there, not in that case. As we know, I own the first 8 books. Moment of silence for me. So the first 8 books I own. Abaddon's Gate is shorter by like 50 pages. So I will read this one because I own it.
You own the other five more after that. So if that's the logic, you got to keep that logic up until what? Persepolis, War, Tiamat's Wrath, whatever, which is the last one. If that's your logic right now, you got to keep it.
If this,
you might want to switch it up.
If this doesn't give me something that like makes the world make sense, it might be curtains. We might private the announcement video. We might delete some tweets. We might be taking down some video. Blake the Book Eater, Katie from Brightness, Katie Reads, Joel from, is it just Joel Rochester? Is that yeah, Joel? They are also doing a read along. I will just send y'all over to them because hopefully they're enjoying this more than we are. I haven't checked in, but I'm hoping. I'm fingers crossed. I would not wish this pain on anybody, but maybe it's shorter. Aaron, what did you rate it? What did?
Moment of silence for the 2-star rating.
Ooh. And Aaron was judging me for 2 stars yesterday.
I was judging you because the reread, it went from 4 stars to 2 stars. That's
Aaron went to the group chat and she said, not Monty giving it 2 stars. Oh, well, let's see here. I gave it 3 stars, same boat. Oh, see, we are. Okay, well, Aaron's computer died. So, moment of silence for Aaron. So I'm happy. Oh, why did I try to add her back in here? She's not here. So moment of silence for that. But we've been here for 45 minutes. I think that we have touched on everything. Like I said, Abaddon's Gate will get read. If there is a live, it will be on Aaron's channel this time because our first live was on Mina's. So in case you missed it, you can find it over there. I'm not promising there will be a live for this because I am headed off to the wilderness before the month ends. So who knows what that'll look like. But I will keep you guys updated. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride. Yeah, poor Aaron. Moment of silence, truly. So like I said, thanks for joining us. I hope you all get to enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully whatever you are currently reading is going better than Caliban. Definitely fingers crossed for y'all there. But I will see you guys again soon with another video. But until then, and until next time,